Today, we are continuing our exploration of playing over single chords. This is a super useful concept that will allow you later on when you're playing over complex chord progressions to make better choices. The more choices you have, the more control you have on the outcome of your music, and this is what this series is all about. Yes, this is part of the series. You can watch all the other videos, but the good news is that these videos are standalone videos. So if you are getting into this series with this one, watch it till the end. And these videos come with a free pack download with all the backing tracks we're using in these lessons, all the charts. So grab it. The link is below. Enter a valid email address. I'll be sending you that right away. And let's get right into it. Hi, my name is David Wallerman. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping guitar players around the world find their unique voice, develop that voice to tell their own personal musical story. Yes, I start all my videos like that, but some of you are new to the channel. So here we go. We're talking about the dominant 7 chord, which is such a fun chord to play over because it offers so many choices because of the nature of that chord, because of the way that it's used in modern music. First, let's talk about what dominant means. Dominant is a term that can be applied to chords or scales. And in order to be dominant, a musical element needs to have the following two things. That musical element needs to have a major third and a minor seventh. All the other notes, all the other intervals can be whatever you want. As long as you have those two things, major third, minor seventh, you're dealing with a dominant item. So a dominant chord has a major third and a minor seven. It has two other notes. It has a root, of course. Every chord needs to have a root, whether that root is being heard or implied. The root is the reference note, the note that gives context to that chord. So if I'm playing over a dominant, which happens here on this backing track, it's available in the pack below. This backing track is made of a chord that is based on an A. A is the root. That's the one. So if I play an A, it fits perfectly. It's kind of boring, yes, but it fits perfectly. That's the very, very stable note. And you can hear that in the bass. The bass is playing that A quite a bit. A lot of A's. Always goes back to that A. Now, it's not only playing A's that would be pretty boring, but it's kind of riffing around it, but always going back to that A. So the one is A. We're dealing with an A thing, a dominant thing, a dominant chord. Now, there are other notes. Like I said, there's a major third. Yes, that means that we're dealing with a major thing. The third determines the nature of the thing you're dealing with. So if a scale has a major third, it's part of the major scale family. It's used as a major scale. There's a lot of major scales, actually. As long as the third is major, it's a major thing. Same with the chord. It also has a minor seventh, like we talked about. That minor seventh doesn't mean that it's a minor chord, right? It's the third that determines the nature of the chord. And it also has a perfect fifth, which adds strength to whatever you're playing. So if I arpeggiate that chord, we'd have a 1, which is A on the low E string 5th fret. That's the 1, followed by a major third, followed by a perfect 5th, and a minor 7. That sound. If I play these notes all at once, I would have a dominant 7 chord. Okay, so we're dealing with that. Now, there are other things we're dealing with. That's where we need to listen. Let's listen to this track here. Ba-da-bop. You hear that on the clav? Da-da-bop. Da-da-bop. What is that? Well, your ear will tell you after a while, or you can just fish around. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba. There we go. Those are the notes. What are those? Those are a major ninth and a major third. So the major third, we already know that from the chord, but we also have a major ninth or a major 2. So we're really playing over the following notes here. We're playing over the 1, which is A, a major second, that is that major ninth, major second, same thing, a major third, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. So those notes altogether, 5 notes, create the canvas we're going to play over. There are 2 missing notes. The missing notes are the 4th and the 6th. Which ones are we going to use? Well, if you watched this series from the beginning, it's completely up to you. It's not indicated by the track. But there's a little more to this because it's a dominant 7 chord. Let's talk about that. Oops, sorry. Hello? Yeah, you've told me that before. Yes, pretty much under each video. No, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that tone. I like distortion. Thank you. Bye. Tone police again. They call every video. I'm going to keep using this sound. Why? Because I like it. All right, let's get into it. So dominant 7 chord here, there's a little more to it. Why? Because typically dominant 7 chords are used to add a little bit of tension. You can hear this in this. Okay, tone police, you win. Switch to a clean tone here. How about this? Hang on just a second. Hello? Yes, I know it's better. All right, thank you. All right, so let me play a chord progression here. And at some point I will play that dominant 7. We have something like this. Can I stop on this chord, which is the dominant 7 chord? No, it's a little tense. I really want to hear this. Right? I want to resolve here. So the dominant 7 chord is used as a little boost of tension, bringing the listener somewhere a little uncomfortable, a little unsettled, to bring him back in even more, so that once you bring him back in, he feels even more at ease and he's going to engage with what you're playing, what you're communicating musically even better. So knowing that means that we can maybe emphasize that tension a little bit. That means that it's not set in stone. The notes that we talked about here, we've got a 1. I missed my distortion. I'll get back to it in a second. We got the 1, the major 3rd, the perfect 5th, the minor 7, and that additional 2nd that we heard in the clav. Ba-da-bop, da-da-bop, like that. So these notes are not really set in stone because of the nature of this. This is kind of unresolved when used in a context of a chord progression. So really, if I want to add even more tension, I could play whatever I want, right? Whatever note that adds tension, right? It's not very tense because that fits the backing track, but this adds tension. So whatever I play, it kind of works. It serves the purpose of adding even more tension. Okay, and that's because of the nature of the chord. Now, if you're asking me what I played here, I have no idea, but I played it strategically. We're going to talk about that too. This is going to be valid for anything you play. If I play a sentence here, a musical sentence, and I'll stick to the traditional Mixolydian scale, which is a scale that respects the elements given to me by this track. Okay? If I'm playing over this, and I just play a sentence, it's if I play this outside a half step above, it's even more It's like, what are you doing? Why? Well, because I'm missing an element here. What am I missing? Take a listen to this. As opposed to right? As opposed to now, if I use this, that's rhythm, right? If I use rhythm, I can afford to play anything I want. So that's a valuable lesson, right? Rhythm is very important. Rhythm phrasing. Phrase like a rapper over this. Da-ka-da-da, ka-da-da, da-ka-da-da-da-da. right? That creates a musical statement even without the notes. And because of the nature of the dominant 7 chord, which is tensed by nature, that means that you can add tension, but don't just add tension for the sake of tension. You still need this invisible thread that is going to connect the listener's ears with what you're playing. He needs to be engaged with what you're saying, and you do that by holding him through that invisible rope, and that rope is rhythm. Really, really important, especially in this context. Let's scratch that for a minute. Just keep that in the back of your mind, and let's explore different types of scales, musical alphabets that you can use over this. And we're going to respect the elements for now. What I mean by that is respecting the notes given to you by the backing track. So we said that we have a 1, 2, major 3rd, 5th, and minor 7th. So we can alter, we can change the type of 4th that we have and the type of 6th. A valid option for this would be to just go with the traditional scale that people are so used to hearing over dominant 7 chord. That's the Mixolydian mode. The Mixolydian mode respects these elements. The Mixolydian has a 1. In this case, it's A. And different fingers, it doesn't really matter, but I'll give you the one that I'm going to use here. We've got a 1 on the low E string 5th fret. The 2, major 2nd, which is given to you by that clav thing, is 2 frets higher on the low E string 7th fret. The major 3rd is on the 5th string 4th fret. I could play it other places on the fretboard, but I'm going to use this positioning here. We're going to use a perfect 4th. The perfect 4th is not given to me by the track, so I could play a perfect 4th or an augmented. It doesn't matter, it doesn't clash, but we'll go with the perfect 4th, which is on the 5th string 5th fret. Then we have a perfect 5th on the 5th string 7th fret. The 6th, completely up to me. I could play a major 6th or a minor 6th. Doesn't matter, it's not given to me by the track, but I'll use a major 6th here for the Mixolydian mode on the 4th string 4th fret, and the minor 7th is on the 4th string 5th fret. The 7 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, respect the elements that I'm hearing here, so it's going to fit perfectly. It's not going to add additional tension to what's going on here. And I could phrase with that, and it's been heard a lot. It sounds great. Here it is. Now add some rap to that. And so forth. It sounds okay, right? There are other options, right? Because we have choices. What 4th, what 6th, it doesn't matter. That's where you need to know your intervals. But another option that is very valid and sounds great and adds a little bit of tension, but not too much, is what we call the Lydian Dominant mode. Okay, so if you know the Lydian mode, you should be able to make it dominant. Remember I told you a dominant thing is a thing that has a major 3rd and a minor 7th? The Lydian mode is made of the following notes. The blueprint of the Lydian mode is 1, 2, 3, that's major 3, augmented 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. In order to make it dominant, only one note needs to change so that it has that major 3rd and the minor 7th. It already has a major 3rd. The 7th of the Lydian mode is major, so we're going to make it minor. And new word of the day, dominantified Lydian mode, made up again. Here it is. Every lesson I make up a word. Maybe I should come up with a new game. Where did I make up the word in this lesson? So in order to make the Lydian mode dominant, which is 1, 2, 3, augmented 4, 5, 6, 7, I can play 1, 2, 3, augmented 4, 5, 6, minor 7. That's what we're going to do over this track. Let's hear what it sounds like. I really like that sound. I think it sounds pretty great. And if you do too, that's the scale you should study. If you don't like it, figure out something else that would work respecting these elements. Now, for a minute, we're going to go back to what I told you previously. Because the dominant chord is a chord that is tensed by nature, you can pretty much play it whatever you want in a way, as long as you have that thread and as long as you don't stay too long far in that far outside land. You want to come back to it. But here are a few tricks that I've done in the past. I made some videos on this. It's so simple that I'm probably going to get some comments saying this is not how you play, but that's how I play. Because we're using that tensed chord, why not use some shapes that are comfortable to us? Now, I'm not, when I teach, I don't really like to emphasize that too much, because I don't think that basing your music on shapes and comfort zones is the most healthy way to do it, because you're never really going to develop your own personality. Your music is going to be directed by those shapes that you're playing, but sometimes it's okay, and that's what we're going to do here. Now, what do I mean by shapes? Well, I mean things like this. Like, take a look at this, for example. We find this shape, and I started it from, I don't know, random area of the fretboard here. Let's use it here in that zone of the fretboard. We're using strings 2, 3, 4 on frets 5, 6, 7. Now this happens to be working with this because I'm playing the 5th, 3rd, and root. But that's a shape, right? That would be one shape that you can use, and we can reverse that. So I'm just going off of the shape, not the notes. So if we have 7, 6, 5, maybe I can have 5, 6, 7. That also happens to work, which is kind of cool. But you can alternate. What happens if I start this 1 fret higher? It's starting to create something kind of cool. And if I add rhythm to that, using these shapes, maybe not even starting it all the time from, maybe not playing the shapes on these strings. I'm going to vary a little bit. The inversion too. I'm going to start inside. Maybe a little bit of Lydian Dominant. Yes, some of it sounded a little out there. Yes, some of it was a little imprecise, but if you slow things down and you just work on your own, incorporating sparingly, just a little bit, well, it's going to work if you do it just, what's that word? Leave me a comment below. I don't know. I need to improve my English. It's getting bad. And my French is completely forgotten at this point almost. It's crazy. It's weird. It's a weird state of mind. That's what I had for you today. Don't forget to download all the assets below. The link is in the description of this video. You need to enter a valid email address and you will be added to the Guitar Playback Club newsletter, which is, you'll receive emails with valuable stuff, valuable content with this, charts, backing tracks. Every once in a while, I will tell you about my paid programs. You can unsubscribe anytime, but do it. This is going to go with all the lessons of this series on playing over single chords. And if this was your first visit, thank you for for stopping by. You should subscribe if you liked what you saw, because every week I have a new video like this one coming out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, helping guitar players around the world find their voice, what makes them unique, and apply that voice to this cool pencil. You're the author, this is the pencil. This doesn't tell the story. You need to control the pencil to tell your own personal musical story. Thank you. I'll see you very soon.